Hi my loves, welcome to my channel. Today I'm making chicken kebabs. I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. Please be patient with me. This is my first upload. I'm a bit nervous, but I hope you guys enjoy.
Okay, so guys, we're gonna get started on our chicken kebabs. We're gonna start with our salt, about 2 teaspoons of salt, about 3 teaspoons or 2.5 to 3 teaspoons of crushed pepper, and about a good handful of cilantro. While this meat rests, we're gonna go over to the stove and we're gonna start sauteing our onions with our tomatoes. Okay, so we're gonna start with about a half a cup of oil. And for this, you need a large wok that has a lot of working space because we're gonna be laying the kebabs out flat so they can cook on one side, and then we're gonna turn them and cook them on the other side. Once the oil is slightly warm, we're gonna add in our onions that are sliced into rounds. Just gently put them in here. And we're not going to let them soften too much. We don't want them to soften too much because we want the onions to still be visible. You can see that the onions are getting a little soft now, and I've broken them apart so they're each an individual ring. Just waiting for them to get just a little bit softer so I can add the tomatoes and the serrano chilies in. And the heat is on about medium, not too high, not too low, because I don't want these to burn on the outside. I want them to stay this light color. Now you see them getting slightly translucent. We're going to go ahead and throw in the tomatoes. These are also two tomato rounds, 2 medium tomatoes cut into rounds. We're going to do the same with these, just slightly soften them before we put in our spices. I actually learned this dish from my mom's friend many years ago. As I was growing up, I was maybe around 16, 17, and her version was with beef and many different spices, but I just kind of invented my own version by changing up the onions, the tomatoes, and just using a lot less dry spice. And enhancing the flavor with just natural ingredients like tomatoes and onions and serranos and things like that. While the tomatoes are still softening, we are going to throw in some of our spices. I'm going to add in about 2 teaspoons of crushed pepper. This may seem like a lot, but this is according to my taste. You are more than welcome to adjust the flavor to your liking, less or more, however you like it. I'm going to add in about 2 teaspoons or so of paprika, and this is just basically for color. And I'm going to add in about like maybe 2 or 3 big pinches of cilantro. And now I'm also going to throw in the serrano chilies. Mix it well and just let it cook on medium-low heat until the tomatoes have wilted down and the sauce starts to look like a thick gravy, and it has a nice bed for the kebabs to sit on. Keep the heat on medium to medium-low. Don't have it too high. So as you can see that the tomatoes have wilted down quite a bit. So have the onions, and now everything has become practically one. But you still see the onions are very much still intact. They haven't disintegrated completely. At this point, we're going to turn the stove all the way down to low and start layering in our kebabs one at a time, and we're going to let them cook completely on one side and then flip them halfway through. So here we're going to take our kebabs and just start layering them in slowly, just so they don't break or fall apart. As you can see, I have placed them all in one single layer, and now I'm waiting for them to cook on that one side so I can flip them over and cook them on the other side. I've turned the heat up just a little bit so they can start to cook a little faster, but otherwise keep the flame on medium-low just so they don't burn. They are just about cooked on one side. I'm getting ready to flip them. I'm going to separate them a little bit just so I have some wiggle room here. And this is how I flip them. I'm going to show you. I'm not going to use this spoon. I'm going to actually do it with my hands and just use the pot. This loosens them from the bottom. There we go. Just do that for a few minutes and they should be pretty solid and they shouldn't break on you. Let's see. Yeah. There we go. I'm going to use a fork to flip each individual kebab. Okay, so now I've flipped all of the kebabs over and they're cooking on the other side. Now I'm going to crank up the heat so all this liquid can reduce and these kebabs can cook all the way through. At this point, you can go ahead and mix it as you need because they're not going to fall apart anymore. Still be very gentle because they are chicken, so I don't want them to fall apart. You can adjust the spices as you like. You can taste the curry or the sauce in here and adjust it to your liking. If it's not salty enough, add some salt. If it's not spicy enough, you can add some crushed pepper, or you can add a little more serrano, jalapeno, red chili. Customize it however you like. We're just going to crank this up so I'm super high now. And just going to reduce this liquid a little bit and let these cook all the way through. When everything looks nice and combined and it looks like the gravy is starting to evaporate, cover with a lid. I don't have a lid, so I'm just putting foil. Cover with whatever you have and let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes on super, super low, so that way all the juices can be taken in by the chicken, and this will just give it another extra enhanced bit of flavor. And it's done. Everything looks beautiful.